girls who almost ruined my life, yet somehow ended up saving it. As I hear the voices upstairs, some happy, some mad, they are sisters after all, I open the refrigerator door and wonder, not for the first time, how I got here. How is it possible that a couple of months ago I was in my grandmother's house on the Sound, enjoying the splendor of the silence? I would open my fridge to find exactly 3 Smart Waters, 1 canister of coffee, 2 yogurts, and some old ketchup. Now I open that same fridge in that same house to find it nearly spilling over, each item a reminder of one of my girls. Bottles of breast milk are the biggest surprise, the choice to nurse at all an unlikely one for my beautiful, smart, but somewhat selfish Caroline. But it is these very bottles that helped her gain back her trim, toned figure nearly instantly, the prenatal vitamins making her long, dark hair even silkier and shinier. The chocolate milk that you would think was for Sloane's young sons, but actually is for her, comes next. That middle daughter, doe-eyed like her older sister, her hair a light brown, as though the dark-haired gene got lighter with each girl until it eventually gave up and allowed Emerson, the youngest, to be fully blonde, has loved chocolate milk since her first taste. Sloane is the least concerned with appearances, and has adapted to the role of mother easily, as the hot dogs, grapes, string cheese, and Capri Suns will attest. The fresh squeezed green juice beside those bottles, stored in an unusually narrow yet still shapely carafe, reminds me of its blonde-haired, blue-eyed owner, Emerson, with her high sculpted cheekbones that still manage to make her look soft and feminine. Her looks and talent have combined to put her on her way to the acting career she's always dreamed of. She is the one that, finally, looked like me. Though my hair is now clipped to right at my shoulders, the way hers runs long and free down her back reminds me of my younger days. The take-out containers and the wine? Well, those could be for any one of my girls. The rows and the list go on and on. But this is how it is, I've come to see. Sometimes you don't know how empty your fridge or your heart can be. You don't realize it, that is, until at long last you find them full again.
Civilization. Caroline. I was the only one who wasn't really into the whole Peachtree Bluff thing. It's kind of like being the Grinch at Christmas. My sisters would be beside themselves about riding on the boat, shrimp boils on the beach, and roasting marshmallows all summer long. But I was more in a severe depression because I had to leave my friends in Manhattan, and the subway, and the lights, and, well, you know, civilization. There were no museums, unless you count that pitiful excuse for a boat warehouse they call a museum. There was no theater, unless you count the high school's horrific performance of Fiddler on the Roof, or the annual drag queen fashion show. I'll admit, that one was fairly Manhattan. But Rent, on Broadway, it was not. Most of all, I couldn't stand the idea of missing out on an entire summer's worth of fun and gossip, even if it was just sitting around Jenna Franklin's mom's house when she was at work, talking about boys and painting our toes. All summer, every summer, I missed everything. And don't get me started on the year my mom kidnapped us and made me move down there for a whole semester. It was like prison. Well, prison with a good view, I mean. Looking back, I realized that most of the reason I didn't want to leave Manhattan was that I didn't want people to talk about me when I was gone. I couldn't deal with feeling left out of the circle that I'd worked so hard to insert myself into. Because, I'll admit it, I've always cared a hell of a lot about what other people think. I used to believe it was human nature, but now I've realized it's more akin to the nature of a New York City social climber. I call myself that affectionately, now that I'm back in New York, back in my apartment, back in my old life, yet somehow a completely different person. I've never felt that it was a bad thing to want to better your situation in life, which is why